everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into a topic that hits close to home for so many immigrants out there. How do you handle the pressure from your family back home for money? Let's be honest, moving abroad comes with big dreams and even bigger expectations. For many young immigrants, the pressure from family back home can feel like a heavy burden. So, how are people dealing with it, and what is the reaction from the younger flocks who are navigating this unique challenge? Let's talk about it.
One thing that really shocks me is when I hear children of immigrants insisting that they're never going to send money back home and they're never going to be like their parents. I see it a lot in these little
So homegirl basically, I would have stitched her, but she had her comments turned off, duet, stitches all turned off. So this is my opinion on what she's saying. Just a quick rundown of the video. She's basically saying that for the people who have family back home and they go abroad, in the conversation of do you send money back, should the kids continue to send money back, that whole conversation that happens in all diasporas all over the place, she basically is saying that you should send money back because a lot of people who have the ability to go abroad wouldn't be able to go abroad had they not had the love and support from their family back home. Which to me, I don't like to do blanket statements with this situation. It's whatever you're comfortable doing. I don't judge people who don't send money back home because I don't know the personal life of their family. And I don't judge people who continue to send money generation after generation. It is whatever you're comfortable with. But here's where I insert the story of my grandfather and his sister and what they did. So for context, my grandpa is one of the most Christian men that I ever knew. He was born in 1923 in like the very rural part of Jamaica. He didn't have shoes till the 4th grade. Man immigrated here in the 1950s, became a very successful doctor in the LA area. His story is something to write a book about, and I will eventually, I feel like. But his sister and him both left Jamaica. Okay, keep that in mind. His sister immigrated to England. He immigrated here. Now, they had made a conscious decision that they were going to continue to pay, send money home for Christmas, for house repairs, for things that people needed back home because they had the extra money to send. But they were only going to send it to the people that took care of them, like their grandmothers, their great aunts and things like that, and the people that they grew up with, so their peers. Now, as soon as their peers started to die off and they were getting older, retired, fixed income, these types of conversations start to come into play. And they basically came up with a plan. My grandpa and my great aunt went to Jamaica, had a family meeting, and basically told them that we're willing to pay the way of the people in our generation, but for your children, we will give you this ultimatum. So they called a meeting with all their family in Jamaica. And basically we're like, for the kids of the people that we've been sending money to, here are your two options. One, you take the money for us to pay for your higher education, trade school, college, whatever, we'll fund it. Or, well, there wasn't really an or. It was like either you take the higher education tip to be able to make more money for your family and your future, or you don't get any money from us at all. The craziest thing is no one chose for them to pay for their education, and they were actually pissed at my grandpa and his sister for not letting them play in their pockets like their parents did, child. A mess.
I was just watching Miss Angel's video about the reason why she's not sending money to Africa anymore. And I don't want to send money to Africa anymore, but for a different reason. For me, I feel like I'm a hater, right? Every time I go to Africa, especially lately, the lifestyle that they're living there is just ridiculous. So these people are the people that you basically feed, pay their rent, when they get sick, you pay for that and all of those things. But these people are living their best life out there. Like, I go there, they go to the most expensive hair salons, they go to the most expensive nail salons. They're living large, okay? Like, they're out there drinking like juices all day. Mind you, it's not like in America where you buy juice and keep it in the refrigerator. You literally have to buy like the canned juice every time, and they're not cheap. For us, it might be cheap when you convert, but for them, it's not cheap. So that could rack up to like one day of worth of food for the whole family. They're going clubbing, buying shisha, like spending $15 on shisha. That's like $150,000 there, which is a lot of money there. So they're doing all of these things, living this, glamorous lifestyle that you don't even have in America. And I just sit there and I look at them. I'm like, I'm the one funding like half of this lifestyle, and I don't even have this lifestyle. You know how when we're here, we're going, like sometimes you go through a rough patch or you're trying to save money for something. At least for me, when I'm trying to save money for something specific or at times it's a little hard, I cut down on certain things, right? Like instead of getting my nails done every 2 weeks, for example, sometimes I won't even get my nails done at all, or I'll go like a month or two before I get my nails done again. Or, you know, like some expenses you can cut down on because of the situation. And then when you're fine, then you resume them. They don't know that. They just spend. They're like, oh, I need my nails done or I'm going to die. I need my hair done. And not everybody can do my hair. This specific person, like there is no compromise because they know the money is going to come. You see the mentality? So for me, it was about 8 years ago when I went there and I stayed longer. Then I realized, these people are not struggling. These people just need extra money to do all these glamorous things, to live large. I'm not living large and I'm the one funding all of these expenses. So I made the decision that I'm not sending money to Africa anymore. So for me, it's like, unless you're really sick and I can see proof that you're sick, or something very urgent is happening, like literally something very urgent is happening, or it has to do with the children and things like that, then I will send the money. But just to send money and pay somebody's rent or, you know, like things like that, I don't do that anymore. No more sending money to Africa. And I kid you not, as soon as I made that decision and I started sticking to it, my life here changed. You know what I mean? And the whole time you're sitting there, oh, I need to look for baraka. I need to look for baraka. I feel like some things don't even have baraka in it. The baraka will stop with my mom and my dad. And the rest of the people can just, let's all work for our lifestyle. I want to have that lifestyle too. I just don't have somebody else paying for it. So let's all work for our own lifestyle.
There's a girl on here talking about something. She's never going to send money to Africa. She never sending money to Africa. And some people are outraged, right? Listen, I'm never sending money either. Listen, I just came back from Africa in August. Well, not just, but came back, right? And it's been 20 years since I went there. So this was like the first time, let's just say, right? And ever since I started working, I've always sending money to Africa, to my cousins, to my nephews, to people, like to relatives. Always send money. Sick, school, blah, blah, blah. Eid, all the time. Ramadan is coming, all the time. Never again, never. When I got there, I went with the girls. When I got there at the airport, there was like, immediately, at the airport, they was like, oh, we need money to put fuel in the car. And I was like, I don't have no safers. Like, I only have dollars. They're like, okay. So we get to the house. I give money to one of them to go exchange it. They go exchange it. I'm counting my money. One thing, I'm going to know money. D-me is like $20. I'm going to use my phone. My money is short $60. So I'm like, oh, what happened? Like, what's the rest of the money? They're like, oh, we took out the $20. We put gas in the car. We took that out. We paid the driver this thing. Your daughter wanted something at the airport, $5. We took that out. We took this out. We took that out. I said, okay. I'm at the house, right? The day we came in, we didn't even settle in yet. We took a shower and everything. We eating. And then someone in the house go, oh, y'all staying for how long? I said, we staying for 3 weeks. They're like, okay. You know, are you guys going to contribute to the food and everything like that? And I'm like, like, what do they mean? So I called my aunt here in America and she's like, yeah. Just give them something to contribute towards food because you and your kids will be eating there. Family house. I said, okay, cool. I give them $500. So that way they can contribute. So we contributing to the expenses of food. Every time we went out, we had to put fuel in the car. We had to pay the driver. At the end of the month, they give us our electric bill. And this is a household where, when I say we literally paid for to build, anything that goes on, somebody got to go to the hospital, somebody's sick, we're the one to like help, to pay. When we went there, every single thing we did, we had to pay for. If they bought my daughter something while I was out and about, when I came back, they would tell me, we spend $1 on your daughter, can we have our money back? Like every single time. When I was so shocked that when we was leaving, they told us that our light bill was $15. I looked at them and I said, I'm not paying for it. So I guess I don't know if she she went through that, but I personally went through that, and that was shock. These are people, when I'm telling you, $800 at a time, $600. The least I've sent in a month was like $400, $800. During Eid time, I'm buying everybody clothes for Eid. I'm sending money to buy cows for families. When I said every house that I went to, if they bought water for us, they wanted to buy water for us, they would be like, "Oh, can you give $5? We're gonna go get water for you." Can you imagine if we did the same thing? That's why I understood the girl. I'm not saying this is everybody family, because this can't be everybody family, right? But some families are like that. When you go there, there is no hospitality. There is no...
Stop sending people money in Africa. These guys are not struggling. They just need extra cash. You are the one making your life a living hell in America. You are the one making your life stress-free in America. You are the one making your life depressive because you are here worrying about an adult that is not physically challenged. You are worrying, killing yourself how to pay their house rent. Why would you be giving an adult money? Somebody who is not physically challenged, you are working to pay their bills. Why would you be paying somebody's house rent in Africa and you are squatting in America? Like placing an adult on salary while you are struggling here with your 2 jobs. You are the one making your life a living hell. Stop it. You get the point. Listen, a struggling person don't lead an upright person. If you do, they will push you aside and move on. These guys will still be the one that will mock you tomorrow if you fail. Yeah, look at him. He spent all his life in America and he didn't achieve anything. But forgetting that they are the reason why he did not achieve anything in America. You understand? Put yourself first. If you succeed, you can help people. But while you are struggling, stop making your life a living hell. Stop trying to be a good person. You understand? People in this life don't have memory. They quickly forget. The only time they will remember you is that time they are getting something from you. Hence that thing cease, bro, they've forgotten you. You understand? And they will come back and mock you tomorrow. You wasted all your life in America and you didn't achieve anything. Wake up now. Anything that is not related to children or maybe sickness, that sickness, you still need to verify it before you give out your money. You need to go and see the kind of life these guys are living. See, the only person you are owing is your parents. You don't owe no adults any penny, any cent. You are not making them good. You're actually destroying the society. You are destroying them. Because for you to make money, you have to give service. Money is not free. Money doesn't fall from heaven. And somebody who you are giving so much money will not have the time to go and give service to the society. Because he or she feels that I have somebody who pays my bill in America. I know you love them and you want to, see them succeed in life. But that is not the way forward. The only way to assist somebody is to call the person, what do you want to do with your life? You understand? Settle the person and let the person know, never in your life bother me again. Stop killing yourself, you understand? And start living. If you are not living, you cannot help a living person. Because I know most of you are not living. You are just here killing yourself just to pay people's bill in Africa. Stop it. You understand? Stop it and, put your life first. You get the point now.
If you're an immigrant, your family back home does not care about you unless you're sending money. That finally bit my mom in the butt. For the month of April, she did not send money back home. Nobody's starving. Everybody has their needs met. Plus, we do have other family in the U.S. that sends money monthly too. My mom did not send money this month because she had surgery. And even though she has insurance, you guys know what the American healthcare system is like. She has a lot of outstanding bills that she had to pay this month, like anesthesiology and other stuff. Her family back home knew this, and I genuinely think she sends money because she wants to make sure that her mom's taken care of, but she is elderly. And guess what? Nobody checked up on her after surgery. The calls have dwindled down, and she had to reach out, and then when she asked to speak to her mom, she only got like 5 minutes of time with her mom.
As an Afro-Latina, I am not scared to admit that I will not be sending any money, boxes, or anything, cars, to to Dominican Republic to sponsor anybody's life. That ends with me. My whole life, my parents have taken the shirt off their back to give to people that are ungrateful, that have scammed them, lied about what the funds were for, and built homes for these people. Parents are extremely generous. They have good hearts. All my life, I've seen them being taken advantage of. And there's no way that I will be endorsing that. And also, it is the reason why my parents are cutting the funds. They're cutting the show, take them off the show. They're not doing it. My parents are not your bank. It's crazy because like money potentially sent for my grandparents is somehow reaching the hands of cousins that are in their 20s that should be working. Like, what is you doing? And I get it, like, we live a different life. I get it. But do the work. Like, do what you need to do to elevate your life. We were all afforded the same opportunities, and you decided to do with your life what you decided to do. Me and my brothers, as adults, we don't ask our parents for anything. You guys think that you're gonna use my parents as a bank? You must be dumb. You must be really dumb. But yeah, it ends with me and my parents are cutting the funds.
I'm aware what I'm about to say might sound entitled and mean, but as a diaspora kid, this has always been on my mind. And, you know, for people who are born or live in, you know, Australia, America, UK, Canada, and whatever, and you have family back home, and I feel like this is quite cross-culturally, like whether you're Somali, Ethiopian, Pakistani, Indian, or whatever, and you have family back home, family that live where, you know, you originate from, whether you're even born there or not, they always expect that you are financially a lot well off and you have a lot of money, when a lot of the time, you know, it's not the case. Like, a lot of the time we're placed with lots of stress and huge responsibility.
Move beyond the surface level debates and truly understand each other.
I feel like it might even impact the quality of relationships sometimes. And I'm not saying that my relationship with people, with my family back home is crap and everything, and like, you know, it's not. Like, I love them, but sometimes I just feel like, you know, even like external people, I'm not even talking about the people I'm like directly, like immediately related to, like my first cousins and stuff like that, but like even when it's distant cousins, where sometimes you kind of question, like, you know, motives of like communication. You're just like, oh, so like, is this genuine? Are you genuinely asking about me? Are you genuinely asking about my well-being? Is it going to be followed up with a question relating to finance? And it's so freaking stressful. Like, it's so stressful. Like, sometimes, by the way, I'm wearing my retainer, so mind me if you're not fully comprehending what I'm saying. But like, sometimes I'm just like, I wish I didn't have this kind of like mistrust in communication. Sometimes I'm just like, are you really asking about me? Like, are you really, you know, like, are you like, you know, buttering me up and things like that? And sometimes even like, it's so hard to explain that, hey, I'm actually financially struggling here as a graduate, and, you know, like, we're not rich, you know. And the expectation that if you live and you're born in the West and, you know, you have a degree and things like that and you're working, you know, like, wow, like, you know, and alhamdulillah, obviously, yes, the circumstances are better in, you know, the Western country, but sometimes it's not. A lot of the time it's not. And it's really hard, like, to actually be like to really communicate, like, hey, like, I'm actually like really struggling and I have to pay these bills and I've got to do that. And the cost of living crisis, like, come on, you know? And I was just thinking about, like, you know, I feel like sometimes it actually impacts my even trust with people here sometimes, because I'm always in that mode of second guessing everything and second guessing my communication with people, because I've learnt to do that for a very long time. And then, like, I'm acting like I've got like I'm feeding like a whole family back home. I'm not, but you know, I guess I'm just like kind of like opening the conversation. I'm just like, do people feel the same? I don't know.
Okay, I don't know if y'all are on African Twitter, but I am. And honestly, this doesn't just apply to Africans, but I'm speaking Africans, because that's what I am. I remember a little bit ago, there was this discourse going on, people saying, like, they don't know if when they get grown, they're going to send money back home. Which at first, I was like, no, like, I totally get that. You know, especially seeing your parents complain about people taking advantage and people just, like, abusing that shit. It's like, I get it. Like, I can understand why people wouldn't want to send money back home, but let me explain why now. It kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies just a little bit. Firstly, I feel like regardless of how hard we may have it in America, it's 500 times worse back home. The main issue I was really seeing was people, you know, taking advantage, but literally just establish boundaries. I feel like that's what a lot of our parents did not do. They didn't establish boundaries. Tell them, yo, I don't got it right now, but when I got you, I got you. And that's that. That solves that problem. Another thing, so many of us are going into STEM. You're gonna be good. Thank God that you're gonna be good. Yes, bills are not cheap, but you're not gonna be like struggling. Secondly, I just feel like as an African, whether you're North, South, West, East African, community is such a huge part in all of our culture. You mean to tell me the same family members that welcome you with open arms when you take your little summer, winter vacay, the same ones that be cooking hella food for you, serving you bisap and chebujin, you're gonna just ghost them when they need you? No, that's weird. Y'all might be mad at me when I say this, but nigga like me, I never care. A lot of y'all just like being African for the sole fact that you can say, I am African. In your head, it's just jollof, Afrobeats, and vibes. No thoughts. I don't know. That's really all I gotta say on that. Just say alhamdulillah that you're the person giving money rather than the person asking for it, because nobody wants to be in that situation.
Being immigrants is that black tax. The fact that I'm trying to build my financial future and, you know, get myself stable, but my family's asking me for money every other week. How am I supposed to, like, you know, build a savings and start investing and all that when I'm constantly having to send money to family members, because they're not financially literate either. So when you're giving them money, you're actually hurting them. You're like enabling them,
right? And the next month they still need money
because they think you got it because you got a good job,
like,
but
money grows on trees.
Right,
your family back home.
Exactly.
So how do we kind of like break that?
Budgeting, honestly, everything starts with budgeting. When you're honest with yourself, you know how much coming in, you know what your monthly expenses are. You better know what your liabilities and asset. And it's important to build asset because you wanted to fall back on something in case you don't have anything. Say, okay, this is how much I'm able to contribute every month to my family. I send money to Africa too, but I have to factor that into my budget. Can I afford it? That's a rule of thumb. If you can't afford it, don't play with yourself, because you know what? You're going to be shorting the other bills. Therefore, it's going to cause the other bill to fall late, and then it's affecting your credit.
Should we start saying no?
Well, if your budgeting comes down minus, you want to say no.
In our community, right? There's something we call mujamalat. Right?
That's our weakness.
Can you translate that to our audience?
All our non-Arabic speakers.
Yes.
Daddy, go ahead.
My mic's not working.
Oh, please. Just pacifying people, like just going along.
You can't say no.
Being generous.
Yeah, like you can't say no. Like even if you don't want to do it, you would just say yes to please them.
Exactly.
Or not to just
people please.
So they don't say, oh, you know.
Yeah.
So there's a video circulating by a young lady, and she's talking about how most of us are no longer going to be sending money back home, and she's basically saying how we're speaking from a point of privilege and how we are losing our sense of community by doing so, in addition to some other points. She turned her stitches off, but I want to share my perspective. The reason why most of us are not going to be sending money back home the way our parents were doing is because the way our parents were doing it was not sustainable. It's not wrong to have a need, but it is not practical to rely on somebody to fund your life. Now, I'll always say this, when it comes to education and like medical needs, I am more than willing to, finance a family member if my finances can accommodate it. When it comes to health and education, I can do it. Particularly education. Why? Because if I'm investing in somebody's education, I know that at a point they will be able to, support themselves and get a job. So the end goal is gonna help their own financial freedom. They're not gonna remain dependent on me for the rest of their life. But what is happening, and as we've seen from our parents, is that they keep sending money back home to people who are just waiting for our parents' money to be able to live life. That is just not appropriate. And let's think about it even critically. If you're to calculate the money that African parents have been sending back home versus the amount of money they're putting in their own children's education fund to go to college, yeah, crickets. There are certain things that just don't make sense. And I think that this generation of Africans, we're learning, or even immigrants, we're learning how to have boundaries. You cannot give somebody else life at the expense of your own. It's just not going to work. Basically, don't give a man a fish. Teach him how to fish so he can be independent. And I think that's what the scary part is. The people receiving money back home are not interested in becoming financially independent. They are more excited at the prospect of having somebody fund their lifestyle. That is not healthy. And I think that us saying no is completely in our right, because again, you are having African parents sending thousands of dollars back home to family members, yet their own kids they don't even have a college fund for. Talk to any financial advisor and they're going to tell you that you don't have wisdom. You are financially illiterate by doing so. All in all, we are having boundaries, and that is going to annoy the people who want to be dependent on us, and that's not our problem.
Alright, today I want to talk about something I believe many of us immigrants can relate to. The constant financial pressure from family back home. This is a sensitive yet important topic, and I did love to hear your thoughts and personal experiences. Let's dive into this and break it down. First off, let's acknowledge where the pressure comes from. For many of us who moved abroad, especially to countries perceived as more economical stable, there is often an assumption back home that we are now living a life of luxury. Some families genuinely believe that once you step into a foreign country, money grows on trees and your life becomes instantly better. We know this isn't true, but how do you explain that to someone who has never experienced the hustle of living abroad? Many of us are working multiple jobs, struggling to pay rent, bills, taxes, and sometimes even taking loans just to survive. Yet there is this expectation that we should be sending money home regularly. It's like we are walking a tightrope, balancing our own survival while trying not to disappoint those we care about. As immigrants, many of us left home to provide for our families or to create better opportunities for ourselves. But when you get those calls or messages asking for financial help, it's not just about the money, it's about guilt. You feel guilty for saying no, guilty for living a better life, even though that life might just be you working crazy hours in a place where nobody really knows your struggle. Sometimes family members back home doesn't understand the realities of life abroad. They might think you are in America, the UK, or wherever. Surely you can afford to send us money. They don't see the rent receipts, the credit card bills, the student loans, or the high cost of living, and explaining this to them often feels like talking to a wall. How do you say no without being labeled as selfish or ungrateful? Many of us have faced accusations like you have forgotten where you come from or you are too westernized now. This was still because they challenge our values and identity. Some people manage these pressures by setting boundaries. For example, they might decide to send a fixed amount home monthly or only help during emergency. But even this can be tricky. What happens when someone back home thinks their emergency is more urgent than yours? I have also heard of people being upfront about their financial struggles abroad. They try to educate their families on what it's really like to live in a foreign country, but not everyone back home is willing to listen or understand. Constant pressure can take a toll. It's emotionally exhausting to feel like you are always being asked for money, especially when you are barely keeping yourself afloat. Some immigrants even feel isolated because they don't have anyone they can talk to about these struggles. Over time, this pressure can lead to resentment. You start to feel like you are only valued for what you can provide financially, not for who you are as a person. This is a tough realization, especially when it involves close family members. In many African, Asian, and Latin cultures, family support is non-negotiable. You are expected to help out no matter what, and sometimes you are even seen as the family's retirement plan. This cultural mindset is hard to challenge because it's deeply ingrained. But is it fair? Should one person bear the financial responsibility for an entire family? Should we continue to sacrifice our own well-being just to meet expectations that might not even be realistic? Some immigrants have found ways to navigate these pressures without losing their sanity. They prioritize their own financial goals first, then help out when they can. Others focus on empowering their families back home, teaching them skills or helping them start small businesses so they can be self-sufficient. It's also okay to set boundaries and say no when needed. Remember, you can't pour from an empty cup. If you are not taking care of yourself, how can you take care of others? How do you handle this pressure? Do you have strategies that work for you? Have you faced any backlash from family members for setting boundaries? Let's keep the conversation respectful and supportive. We all come from different backgrounds, but we share similar struggles. This isn't about blaming anyone, it's about finding ways to navigate a challenging situation together. Thank you for watching, and let's continue this conversation in the comments below. Let's all share our thoughts and perspectives with one another. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on this story and more. I will see you in the next video.